I do want to thank everybody, the 5 people that I had to talk to from the membership committee for getting together with me over the last 2 weeks. I know it was kind of a quick introduction into the group, and I want to thank you for the opportunity today to speak here. This group is, you all have such passion for what you do, and you're upbeat and positive and welcoming. And I want you to know that I was going to go to that other meeting over there, and I came here twice and went, there's no need to go over there because I know that I am home right here. And I'm so impressed with your kudos and how well you help each other succeed and how it's truly part of who you are, that you really want to see each other succeed. And I'm all about helping people leave their soul-sucking lives behind and create lives they can't wait to jump out of bed and live every day. And today, what I want to do is give you 3 to 5 ways. I don't know actually how much time I have. I don't think it's 40 minutes.
25 minutes.
25 minutes, okay. So I'll just say 3 to 5. We'll see how far we get. I want to give you 3 to 5 ways to actually create your own life that you can't wait to jump out of bed and live every day. And I will give you some tools on how to get started. But I have to start with the basics first. And that is, and you, Dr. David probably knows this, you are pure energy. This is what you're made up of. You're made up of whirling electrons, protons, atoms, molecules, and chemical collections. And every thought that you think, every action that you take, and every word that you speak sends out instructions to the universe. And guess what? The universe wants you to always be right. And so the universe sends you back what you asked for in your thoughts, actions, and words. Now, before you get upset with me, the first time I heard this, I want you to know that I was living a really, there's children in the room, I can't say it, a really terrible life. And it was miserable. And I thought, I'm sure that if my thoughts were creating a life, that I would create something way better than this. So if before you shut down, if you're not liking your life where it is today, I ask that you listen with an open heart and an open mind to what I have to say, because you might actually learn something in here today that can totally change that situation for you, and it doesn't require a total rehaul of who you are. It might just be a tiny tweak. We've all heard that saying, you get what you focus on. So if you focus on having enough money at the end of the month, that's exactly what you will get. No, not enough money at the end of the month. If you focus on what's not working in your business or in your relationships, that's exactly when you're going to get more of what's not working, because that's really all your mind can see, because that's what you're focused on. Our thoughts create our lives, and I want to share a story with you about how I thought myself out of a job. I, as a little girl, always wanted to grow up and be a CEO. And you're like, how do little girls know about CEOs? Oh, I listened at those parties my parents had. And I heard this one man talk about how he was the CEO of a company and he traveled the world and he made tons of money and he was making a huge difference in the world. And I thought, I want to do that. And so I thought, if I focused hard, if I got good grades in school, if I kept the dream alive in my mind, that I could actually make it work. And I aced my way through college high school and college. Let's do it in the right order. And I landed that really sweet job where I started to climb the corporate ladder. And for 25 years, I did that. And then our country experienced a devastating disaster, and that was 9/11. And business in the United States came to a screeching halt. I went from traveling weekly to traveling once every 3 months. And you can imagine that after doing that for a while, our company had to make some pretty tough decisions, because the bottom line was a pretty dismal view. And it was at this time that I got a call from my boss who said, you have to lay off your entire North American team. And I sat down and I sobbed, because these were people that I had handpicked. They were top performers, I had been to their babies' baptisms and graduations and weddings, and I had to sit down and tell them that they didn't have a job. And it was the worst day of my life. And I had to do it by phone because they were all spread across the United States. And after I finished that call, I called my boss, hoping, not sure why I was hoping, but hoping that she wasn't going to lay me off.
Yeah.
And she did not. And for the next year, I traveled across the entire North American territories all by myself. I could be in Seattle one day, and I could be in New York City the next. I think I put about 92,000 air miles on that year. And during that year, these were my thoughts. Julie, you have got to work harder. You've got to work longer hours, or you too could lose your job. You heard it, didn't you? You too could lose your job, and 1 year later, that is exactly what happened. I lost my job. So my first tip for you today is to monitor your thoughts and make sure that they're working for you and not against you. We have over 60,000 thoughts a day. No wonder we're tired at the end of the day, right? I don't know. I'm like, did he just sit there? And the interesting part about it is you are only 5% of them are conscious and the other 95% are subconscious up until now. Now that I've shared this with you, you're going to start to become a little more conscious, and that 5% is going to raise. There are some subconscious thoughts we want to keep. Dr. David can attest to this. You want to keep the ones that tell your body to work right, like your heart to beat, and your lungs to breathe, and your blood to circulate, because you don't want to have to be doing that every second or so. We want to keep those. It's the ones that your inner bully feeds you. The stinking thinking, they're lies, by the way. Those are the ones that you want to address and monitor. And I thought about that and I thought, holy cow, how could I possibly have bad thoughts? I was raised in a negative, verbally and physically abusive home. So you can imagine that as an adult, an early adult, that my thoughts were probably not very good because I was trained poorly. In fact, I remember one of the first things my parents told me was, life is hard. Life is hard. Well, what are they talking about? My life is easy. It's easy to get good grades. It's easy to make friends. It's easy in sports. But what happens when you hear something like that over and over and over again? You start to believe it. And it becomes one of your subconscious thoughts that runs your life and can be either holding you back or propelling you forward. When I started this process of monitoring my own thoughts, I got a little notebook. Whip it out, I'll tell a thought, I'll stop every time I hear it. Sometimes I only got 2 steps. Oh, I have to write that down. That's not very nice. I'm not worthy of huge success. I'm not smart enough to have huge success. I'm not pretty enough to be on a stage. And who would ever listen to anything I had to say? And I would write them down. And at the end of the day, I would reframe them. I am worthy of huge success. And gosh darn it, I am really smart. 2 college degrees, I must be smart. And people do want to hear what I have to say. And the people that don't connect with me, they are not my clients. And the people that do are. But here's what I found out. That inner bully has been in control for so long that I needed to have a tool, kind of like something, have you ever had someone puts a rubber band on their wrist and that's to remind them to snap out of it? I have a tool called Stop, Cancel, Clear. When you have a thought in your head, it goes through the neural pathways in your brain, and it always gets to the fork in the road. But those subconscious thoughts, they never stop at the fork. They always just turn left because that door has been open for so long, it almost probably doesn't even know how to latch. When you say stop, you're telling your thought, yep, go down that neural pathway, but when you get to the fork in the road, I want you to stop. Because you have choices, you have options. And that cancel says cancel the automatic left turn. And the clear says clear a pathway to the right, which slowly closes the door on that automatic left turn. So you have two choices there. You can use the stop, cancel, clear, and you can use your reframe. And I want you to know that monitoring your thoughts is not for the faint of heart. It does take work and it takes consciousness, but it is worth it to creating a life you love, a business you love, and having all the relationships that you love. I'm all about love. Second tip, and this one is going to create pure energy and positivity in your life, and that is to have an attitude of gratitude. I get up every morning, and unlike you, I am a superhero, and I jump into my pants both legs at one time. And I go out into the world with my little reflector vest on because it's dark in the morning now, and I walk down the street where I met this fabulous woman. We walked by each other probably for a month or so before I said, you want to have coffee? And we talk about how beautiful our walk is because the condos have all these gorgeous flowers. And if you look at my phone has pictures of flowers from Bridgeton. I mean, I just take the same ones over and over and over. And what I do with them is I get them printed and I put sayings on the back of them and I hand them out to people. Inspiring sayings. Quotes, some of them even my own. An attitude of gratitude. Now, I recently watched a TED Talk, TEDx, by Sean Anker. I don't know if you've heard of him. It's called The Happy Secret to Better Work. And he says that when you can raise your level of positivity in the present, then your brain can experience a happiness advantage. Your brain in positive mode can significantly perform better than it does at negative, neutral, or stress mode. Your intelligence rises, your creativity rises, and your energy rises. Well, who doesn't want a little bit of that? And he has his corporate clients list 3 new things to be grateful for every day for 21 days. Wow. And here's what his research has found. That their brains started to retain the pattern of scanning the world for the positive rather than the negative. If you watch the news, they are training you to scan for the negative in the world. If you watched the debates last night, which, by the way, I did not, I'm pretty sure that's probably what they did last night as well. So how do you incorporate gratitude into your day? Well, you can start with your gratitude walk. You can get up and leave your desk any time of your day for a few seconds and go out for a gratitude walk. You can list it in your journal. You can sit at a stoplight and say, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? And what I did is I put a little sticker on my PC that says, what are you grateful for? And anytime I would start to spiral down into negativity, I would stop and look at that question. What am I grateful for? I took that one step further in my family. At dinner time, the first topic of conversation with our child was, tell me 3 things you're grateful for that happened in your day today. And for a year, I actually kept a journal of what it was. And at the end of the year, I would flip through 12 different pages and I would read what we had all said because we all said our gratitude. And then we all looked at each other and went, wow, our lives have really changed since we have the attitude of gratitude. You can also do that with your children when you put them in bed. And then that way they go to bed with an upbeat, positive attitude rather than something negative. The third tip for today is work less and play more. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but here's what happens when you work too much and you never play. Your creativity and your productivity decrease. And here's what I found in my own life of working 60 to 80 hours, is that it took me longer to finish a project than it did if I got up and took regular breaks. And the creativity, well, it pretty much went away. It's like looking through a window. You ever had your windshield wipers and they don't wipe real well? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like trying to see through the window. You can't see to know what's actually out there as far as solutions. So my creativity was really low. How many people have heard of Brendon Burchard? Okay, Brendon is an author on motivation and high performance. He's written many New York Times best-selling books. A couple are The Millionaire Messenger and The Charge, which is activating the 10 human drives that make you feel alive. Now, when I got to the top of my career in corporate America, alive was not the way I felt. Mm-hmm. But he has 5 things that he recommends to all of his executive coachees. And one of them is to take a break every 50 minutes. 50, every 50 minutes. And I did this one day. I actually put it on my phone, a little alarm, thank you, that went every 50 minutes. And the first couple times it went off, I kind of charged right through it and went, wait, Brendon says, and he tells this to all of his really high-end clients who are paying him hundreds of thousands of dollars, I should listen to him. And it's amazing. I would go outside, I would walk around the block, I would come back, and it was amazing how much more productive and creative I was. So this is take a 5-minute break every 50 minutes. Number 4, be selfish and schedule regular self-care on your calendar. We all have inside of us a pot of gold. And when we give to other people, a piece of gold leaves our pot. Now, women are the worst. Because when the pot is empty, what we do is we keep on giving. And we put ourselves last. And then what happens is we get resentful and angry at everybody. And who really can we blame? Ourselves. Because we didn't make self-care a priority. Self-care is on my calendar in lavender. If there is no lavender on my calendar, that is a big red flag. And it's on there every day. Because I do meditate, I go for my walk, my gratitude walk in nature, and I journal every day. Those are 3 things I do for self-care. I also have a great massage therapist. Love her. And I do other things that are self-care. We hike in nature. I go to lunch with friends. If you like to garden, and that could be part of your self-care, another good one, especially if you're a busy mom, is a bubble bath with no interruptions. Do not disturb.
Why do you have to be a mom to do that?
You don't, but some men do.
There's something about moms.
Right.
Yeah, especially if you're a mom.
Right.
What are you doing?
All right. I think I better wrap up here because it is almost 20 minutes. I was going to give you guidelines for visualization, but I'm just going to give you one really important guideline for visualization. Professional athletes actually visualize doing their sport. Yeah. And the ones that visualize more than they practice perform better. It's part of their training. The same thing is true for anything in your life. If you have a dream, if you have a desire, if you want to change your life, if you want to manifest an awesome mate, all these things can be visualized, and then of course you have actions to back them up. Visualization takes 5 minutes, only 5 minutes a day. Visualize on one thing at a time. Why only 5 minutes? Well, if you're a woman, you start thinking about the list of things that you have to do, and if you're a man, you start thinking about sex. So today, I got to share my passion with you, which is speaking and helping people leave their soul-sucking life behind. And a good quality client for me when it comes to speaking are women's groups that want to feel inspired and uplifted when they leave, or women's groups that are looking for keynote speakers, and I have spoken at several conferences. or workshops or speaking engagements, the New Thought churches around town, they're also great places for me to speak, networking groups, anybody that's looking for a breakout session and wants to be inspired and motivated. An ideal coaching client for me would be a woman who has worked climbing the corporate ladder but put themselves on the back burner and now finds themselves living a life of quiet desperation. Those are my ideal clients. I met a VP from Wells Fargo yesterday, one of the 5,000.
Oh.
My next client.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any questions about the things that I shared with you today, the tips? Yes.
I have no questions, but I have to say, 4.5 years ago, I heard a speaker who talked about gratitude. And so we started doing that at dinner every night when we all sat down together and writing in a book. And then there was like a month when people were sick or maybe the journal was full of, and it was just like one sentence. And it was our kiddo who was like, we've talked about it, but who's writing this down anymore? And it was important to him, and so we just kind of kept it going.
Right.
But it was amazing how a month of just, like, we still talked about it. I was like, who's writing this down? I had a really good thought today. I mean, whatever it was. But it does, it kind of breaks that moment of monotony.
Right. Rosemary.
Quick question for you. How long was it after you were laid off from your job that you were inspired to do the work that you are doing now?
I'm sad to say it took me 8 years to get my certification to go into this work. And I went to Mike Dooley's Infinite Possibilities Train the Trainer course to get my certification. Not to get my certification, but it was my last ditch effort to get my mojo back. And I came away from there like a fart in a windstorm and started, uplifting the world from there.
8 years is a blip on the screen. Congratulations.
Thank you. I did have another business during that 8 years, but it was nothing that fed my soul.
Right. Good for you.
Any other questions?
I would love to know other like self-care things that you think people should do, because I'm terrible at that.
Self-care?
Yeah.
Well, an easy one is to read an uplifting or motivating book, 5 or 10 minutes. Men go in the bathroom. I think that's what they're doing in there.
No, I just play video games.
My husband's flipping out, doing flipboard or something. But anyway,
Fantasy football.
yeah.
See, yeah.
Geez, I thought you guys were doing something great in there. No, but reading a motivating, uplifting book, whatever it is that feeds your soul. We don't get together with our friends as much once we start our careers, and it's really important. I got here at the end of January to Portland, and I didn't do anything out in the community for about 3 or 4 months, and realized how I felt like I was becoming a hermit, and I had no connection to people, and I'm calling people back in Idaho going, I don't really like it here, but it's such a cool town. And have you been out? No? No. Follow your own advice. Get out.
So you consider going to see friends as self-care? Now?
Absolutely.
Like, to me,
Well,
that's like an obligation.
Okay. It's only self-care if it's somebody that you really like. Okay?
I love my friends. I'm just kind of an introvert, so if I have to go somewhere to see someone,
Then that's
I'm
not a
like,
self-care activity for you.
They
Okay?
come to see me. It's great. They come to my house.
Well, there you go. But I always say, I've walked with people in the past that have been kind of Debbie Downers, and I'm like, that's not self-care.
Oh no, yeah.
I have to let you go.
Totally.
Yeah. Any other questions? You guys are awesome. And here's what I have for you. I have a handout of some ways to leave your soul-sucking life behind. Some of them I did not talk about today because it's impossible to do it. So it's like a full-day workshop. But feel free to take one, and it's yours to keep. And I have a gift for you at the bottom. And if you would fill out your evaluation forms and just drop them up here, that would be really great. Thank you, Dr. David.
Are there any business announcements?